Well, our next guest is hoping to help. Her new book is called The Lucky Egg, and it breaks down the complexities of conception with expert medical information and what science actually says about fertility. So please welcome to The Social top reproductive endocrinologist, Dr. Lucky Sekhon. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We want to say congratulations on this book. It's, first of all, really beautiful to look at. We love the cover art. And so it covers absolutely everything to do with infertility, fertility, how to get pregnant. But this is an industry that has really exploded, and I think for different reasons. But when egg freezing started, it was considered a last resort. Today, egg freezing is kind of a little more commonplace. So let's start there. Why do you think that that has changed?
Well, I love that society has shifted where we're talking about topics like fertility. 10 years ago, this was something that was shrouded in secrecy and a lot of self-blame and shame, and now women are talking about it more openly and acknowledging that we have a biological clock. And I think this is a way to really pay it forward and make sure everyone has this vital information about how their bodies work. We are born with all the eggs we're ever going to have, and we don't have repair mechanisms or the ability to make new ones. And that's what we're referring to when we talk about the biological clock. And the reason why people are freezing their eggs is because a lot has shifted. It's taking longer for many of us to be in a place where we're ready to have children, whether that's on a personal or professional level. So egg freezing is one of those things where you can try and stop the clock, so to speak. It's not perfect because human reproduction isn't perfect, and there's a lot of nuance that people should be discussing with their doctors about when to do this. The earlier you do it, the more successful it tends to be. And the technology has really improved where we have better thaw survival rates of eggs and better pregnancy rates, but it's not foolproof, and it's really important to have that discussion with your doctor.
I mean, I think a lot of people spent their younger years trying not to get pregnant, and then spent their later, like their 30s and 40s, trying to get pregnant. So you actually said, though, that it's actually not that easy to get pregnant.
Yes. Isn't it a crazy 180-degree shift that we're all magically expected to do in our adult years? We're supposed to go from the lessons we learned in health class, where you felt like if you looked at a boy from across the room, you might get pregnant, right? And then, you know, doctors like myself telling you the reality is human reproduction is extremely inefficient. First of all, you only ovulate one egg per cycle. That egg lasts for 12 to 24 hours. So if it's not fertilized in that time frame, too bad, you wait for the next cycle. And even if you time everything perfectly, it doesn't guarantee that the egg will fertilize and turn into an embryo and a baby. It's almost like playing a slot machine, and all you can control is pulling the lever and trying at the right time, but whether everything will line up is largely out of your control. So it takes time and persistence, and usually we say at the end of 1 year of trying, most couples, 85%, will be pregnant. But if it takes longer than that, it's time to see an expert. And if you're 35, don't wait longer than 6 months.
Yeah, I wish I had this information because we struggled for years. I want to go back to this freezing thing because more people are talking about it. Let's break through and understand it better. So if let's say you decide to freeze your eggs and you're in your 20s,
right?
But maybe you want to use your eggs when you're 35 to 40. What do we know about eggs and their quality while frozen? Do they keep that quality or do they lose quality?
Well, I know you had a chef on just now.
Yes.
And I would say you can't think of this as the chicken breast in the back of the freezer for the last 15 years. Your eggs are not getting freezer burn the way food in the freezer does, right?
They don't?
No. All aging and metabolism is halted. I think we can clap for that. Right?
Absolutely.
And here's another fact that I think we should clap for. Your uterus doesn't really age. So if you have eggs or embryos frozen and you come back 5 years later, 10 years later, and for whatever reason you need to rely on them to build your family, your chance of getting pregnant is the exact same.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. This is why women can get pregnant when they're perimenopausal or menopausal. Some of my patients go into menopause early, right? And if they have eggs frozen or they use donor egg, I can still get them pregnant because I can give them hormones to support that early pregnancy, and eventually the placenta in the first trimester will take over production of those hormones.
You're amazing.
Wow.
You're
Our
amazing.
bodies are amazing.
Okay, so we've heard this thing when we were trying to get pregnant, you're encouraged to like lead a healthy lifestyle, do yoga, for example. You know, like then your eggs. There's this idea that your eggs will be in good health as well. But how big of a factor does actually that play in fertility?
Yes. I see women and couples who put so much pressure on themselves, and they feel guilt about in their college years, drinking heavily, or going through periods of time where they weren't eating as well as they should have been. And I'm here to tell you that if you're going through infertility or you've suffered pregnancy losses, it is not your fault. Yes, there is a role for healthy lifestyle. Everyone should be working on themselves and optimizing their general health. And in turn, that may help your fertility. But when we think about all the different variables that go into someone being able to get pregnant, there's many things beyond lifestyle that are fully out of our control, like biology, aging, timing, right? And so, yes, we should work on putting our best foot forward, but know that even if you feel younger than your chronological age, that doesn't necessarily mean that there are lifestyle things that you can be doing to pause or reverse the effects of the biological clock. We need to be really realistic so that we can make informed decisions.
And part of that informed decision, I think, is education. And when we
Yes.
talk about infertility, we often think the woman is broken. At least that's
Right.
how I felt when I was going through fertility. I want to talk about the male factor for just a
Yes.
second here, because we're the ones going through the injections and the ultrasounds and the this and the that. Constantly, we're all down the street trying to get into the fertility clinic. But I want to talk about what is the male factor here in terms of the quality of his sperm in this
Right.
discussion.
Well, I find it shockingly shocking to people that it's 50%, right? But family building is a team sport. It takes two. And 50% of couples with infertility have a male factor, meaning something's going on with the sperm production or the ability for the sperm to swim to the egg, right? And it's really important to know that both members of a couple should be working on their fertility, working on their lifestyle, doing the best that they can, and getting tested at the same time, because it's really a 50-50 equation.
We don't have a lot of time. Cost is a big thing here. What's the range that we're dealing with here if people are going to go through fertility treatments in Canada?
So there's a variety of different types of treatments. The most low-tech, laid-back treatment option is called intrauterine insemination. This involves washing and concentrating sperm and injecting it at the top of the uterus. And it's done in the clinic. It doesn't involve a lot of technology, and so it's cheaper, but it still will run anywhere from $500 to about $2,000 per cycle, depending on if it requires medication, right? IVF is much more high-tech, and it involves not just your doctor in the clinic, but a team of embryologists and specialized equipment in a lab, and it can cost around $10,000 to $20,000. And there are a lot of financial barriers. We know in Canada there can be some public funding through the government, but that is generally limited, and you have to meet a certain criteria, and you do have to wait. And we've already talked about the biological clock, so it can be difficult. It's something we need to keep raising awareness on.
That's why you wrote this book. Thank you so much, Dr. Lucky, for being here. Called The Lucky Egg. Congratulations again on the book.